Welcome to Project Tailor Made. My name's Lauren Grant and I will be your host. It is an absolute privilege to be bringing you this podcast at this time in history. We live in strange and interesting and really tough times. People are long-term unemployed. Some people are suddenly jobless because of COVID-19. But all together as humanity, we're facing unprecedented times when we need to come together, when we need to find our voice of encouragement and share that with one another. And that is what Tailor Made is all about. Tailor Made exists to see people connect with their unique purpose, to cultivate a supportive community that will champion and cheer them towards their meaningful work and employment goals. And this podcast is all about you finding some tips, some practical ways to stay engaged in the process of being ready to walk through the next door, discovering your why, your reason for being here, your spark, and what lights you up and gives you the purpose to go on each day, and to actually discover that there is a community of people that are cheering you on. There are people that want to see you succeed, and there are resources ready and waiting, just like the Tailor Made course that you can connect with. So today I want to invite you into our journey of Tailor Made, and where you're going to learn a little bit more about the story, and you're going to meet one of our fabulous team members that has helped us to just birth this new chapter in our employment support history. Tailor Made comes from a long history of employment support through Stairway Church and facilitated by the urban team. We are a chapter in a journey of seeing so many people receive the hope and the support and the encouragement they need. Both individuals and families have found so much support and hope through our employment support services. So just come into our journey. Welcome. Get comfy. You might want to grab a cuppa. You might want to have a notepad and pen, and just let's get going with today's podcast. Let me introduce you to my wonderful friend and someone who has cheered on this journey so much, Renee.
Oh, hello, Loz.
Hello, Renee. I love that you're here with me today.
I love being here. I'm so excited.
I love that you get to interview me. This is super fun.
Oh, fantastic. All right, I'm going to do a little do-si-do and take the interviewee hat for a second. Going to put it on.
Thank you. Oh, take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath. Position yourselves because we are in for a treat. The first and foremost question, you're a visionary person. You're someone that sees vision in the long term and the short term. What was it? What was the vision and what was your heart in wanting to see Tailor Made, and what drew you to this position and wanting to take this role on?
I think because I am someone who really wants to see other people discover their purpose and then engage with life from an intentional perspective. When I heard about Tailor Made and when the opportunity to come and work for the team arose, it was a natural thing for me. I think from the time that I was very young, I loved to help people that I knew or even didn't know achieve a goal, achieve something that was really on their heart to do. And I loved that part of what we were doing here at Stairway Church and the urban team was this practical way to reach into people's world and give them a hand up, not just a hand out. So it was kind of saying to people that you don't have to stay in this place where you're feeling hopeless, where everything feels like it's never going to move forward. We're going to make a place for you to come and receive skills, tools, friendship, all of what you need to go from this place of, I don't really know what tomorrow holds, to I now have hope for tomorrow. So I couldn't actually even believe that there was a program like this just kind of knocking around Stairway. And I realized it was so powerful. Absolutely unbelievable.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That's such a great answer. I'm already just in. It was like, that was the preface, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll lock into question 2 now. In the process, so one of the values, obviously, Tailor Made is finding meaningful work and finding people's why and finding their why. What's been what's sort of the importance of finding your why, and maybe what's some of the journey of how you found your why and gone on that process that you could encourage others with as well?
Beautiful question, Renee. I love it. I hope I don't get up on my soapbox and ramble on for too long here, but we'll try to stay focused. I think what happens in our lives is that we very quickly become defined by what we're doing. And what we're doing changes so often, and sometimes family situations change, friendship group changes. And if what we're doing is defining who we are, then we can actually feel like we're failing or like we're losing every time something changes. I think that unemployment is a great example of the fact that one day I was a manager of a really incredible cafe that I love to work at, and I love the people and I love the neighborhood. And then all of a sudden the cafe owner comes onto hard times and decides that they need to fire me. And all of a sudden everything that I thought about who I was that was wrapped up in what I was doing, and that thing that I was doing was all of my purpose, I suddenly feel like now I'm nothing.
Completely.
And that's completely untrue. If I know why I'm on the planet, and let's say, for instance, I discover that I am someone who actually loves to bring a smile to others and to create environments where people can rest and discover and connect, then that job for me, managing that cafe, was me being able to express my why. But when the job's taken away, I'm left with knowing that, okay, the door's closed on this opportunity to be someone who creates a space for people to connect, creates a space for people to just rest and chill. But that's actually who I am. So I've got something to carry with me when this door's closed. And I actually already know, do you know what? I think I'm going to go for another cafe job. I'm going to go for another food industry job because it's going to give me the opportunity to operate in my why. And suddenly life's not so hopeless, because who I am can't be taken away from me if I know that. But if who I am is in what I'm doing, then it'll be taken away from me by what people think about me or don't think about me, by whether I have a job or don't have a job. But sometimes I know, for instance, in my life, when I've been, say, studying, and I was working at a childcare centre, and then I was working at JJ's, and then I was working at Sports Girl. Now, none of those jobs were really what I was studying for. So I was doing youth work studies at the time, and they weren't necessarily giving me the opportunity to do something that was completely in line with what I was studying. But at about 19 years of age, I went to a conference, and I kind of went begrudgingly, but I went with my friends because I loved my friends. And there was this really powerful woman speaker who was speaking to sort of our younger generation of 19 to 25s, and just kind of really encouraging us that as young women, we had a place on the planet, and it was time to rise up and to get a hold of our purpose and to run in that. And I was like, purpose, destiny, all these big terms being thrown out there. And she said, look, we're about to have the lunch break for about an hour and a half. I challenge you, instead of just going to a local restaurant and gabbing on with your friends for an hour and a half, steal away even 10 minutes for yourself on this. And it was on this beautiful property with this big grassy hill. She says, go and sit out on the grassy hill and just ponder for a moment what it is that really lights you up. And I thought, all right, I'm going to do it. And all of my friends were like, kind of like, okay, cool. And it's very unusual for me because I'm very sanguine, as you know. I love being around people and, yeah, like.
Coffee with the friends, ponder by myself, I'll go coffee with the friends.
Yeah, totally. It's a no-brainer normally. But I felt compelled. And she was talking about knowing your why and your spark and all this stuff. I sat on the hill and I kind of just started to ponder and look at my life and survey when I was most alive. And I realized that I was most alive when I was doing whatever I could to make the lives of others better, even in some small way, through passionate and intentional acts of love, kindness, support. So I wrote down this life vision statement. My why was to make the lives of others better in whatever way I can through passionate acts of love, kindness, and support. And that has been my why. And so when the opportunity for Tailor Made came along, and I've got this why that's saying, my whole purpose for being on the planet is to make others' lives better in whatever way I can through passionate and intentional acts of love, kindness, and support. I think you look at that and you go, they fit together. Mm-hmm. But for this whole time leading up into this job, I've got 5 children.
She's a great mum, by the way, just a heads up.
Thank you. I'd been at home in this long season of serving my family and supporting my husband in launching an electrical business and in lots of other things that we'd done through the church. And there were times when I forgot, wait a minute, why am I even here? And felt like, I'm losing myself. I've got no purpose. And I would always get this little tap on the shoulder. You know, God comes along and taps me on the shoulder and says, Lauren, remember, you know why you're here. And in fact, you've been busy making the lives of 5 children and a husband and anybody else that you could find to show love and support to. You've been living in your why, and now you get to bring your why into a workplace. And so that's why it's important for me. When you know your why, it doesn't actually matter what you're doing, because our who should not be completely wrapped up in our do. Our do comes out of our who. Thank you, Mary Forsyth. I better give credit to her for that one. But we really just, it's important for the foundation of our lives to be, this is why I'm here. And it doesn't matter what I'm doing. My why can't be taken away. It just strengthens what we do.
Oh my goodness. I feel like you could just preach for an hour on that. Just that alone. I'm just like, oh my
I told you it was a bit of a soapbox, people.
It's a good soapbox. A soapbox that we really need in this season. So I'm thinking about the fact of people who are looking at Tailor Made and wanting to start this process of finding their why and almost starting to navigate the fact of it's not always about what you do, but actually about why you're doing it. Yeah. Is there a word of encouragement that you could give them of a little tip on the journey that you've already shared so much about your experience, but of someone starting on their journey? What would you want to say to them?
If I could say anything to people who are experiencing long-term unemployment or maybe sudden joblessness through COVID-19, I would want to encourage you that there is a solution to every problem. Sometimes we just haven't found it yet. And that if anyone has told you in your life that the reason you find yourself in this unfortunate position is because of something you didn't do well enough or because of something that you in fact are not, I want to say to you that you have purpose, that you have value, that you were created for a purpose, and that we really want to be able to walk with you to know that purpose. There is a God that loves you, that fashioned you. I believe it with all of my heart, that you are not a mistake and that there is a place out there for you in the space of meaningful work that can actually partner with your personal why. And I would encourage you in this season of waiting, don't waste a day believing lies that you're not worth it, that you're not enough, that there's no more hope left for you on the planet. There is hope. And take time to discover, maybe write down today, even after this podcast, what makes me feel most alive? When do I feel most like myself? When do I feel like I'm walking on clouds and like I'm in my sweet spot? You'll start to discover that that might be why you're here. And hold on to that and remember that if I have a purpose for being here, then there must be a place for me in the world where I can express my purpose and engage with meaningful work. Most of all, I want to invite you to check out our website at tailormade.org.au. Learn a bit more about the incredible course that Tailor Made wants to offer you in this season. And if it's your time, join us on the Tailor Made journey. We'd love to have you with us. Thank you so much. Before we go though, I would love to ask Renee, who's here with me today. You are an integral part of the process that was the reimagining and the rediscovery and the new birth of everything that is Tailor Made. Renee, if you could say anything today after being a part of the behind the scenes of creating this gift, this journey for people, what might you say to encourage people who find themselves in this time feeling a bit bewildered, unemployed, wondering what the next is? What might you want to say to them?
Oh, it's a really tricky one. I think what I would say, in having gone through seasons of unemployment, and sometimes it can feel really overwhelming and really dark and deep, and you sort of feel like you're in a bit of a rut at times. The magic key that got me through was patience is perseverance. Now, if you can stick out just by waking up in the morning, by taking that first step, by just going that little, whether it's applying for a job or having a look at a job just online, by taking one step, you are already succeeding and building yourself in a way that you never would have before. And there's things that I learned in the season of unemployment that I'm so thankful for, that it's never a wasted season. It's never a waste of time, that it's intentional, that even when it seems endless, whether you've been long-term unemployed or whether it's just been a few weeks or days even, it is never wasted, that everything you're doing is intentional. Everything you're doing is growth for your future and growth for who you are and your destiny. And like Lauren said today, it's actually building your why, that in the background, you're going to be building things that are actually going to be propelling you in your future. So I just want to encourage you that patience is perseverance, that if you can stick out the journey, there's a really amazing reward in the end. And that's what I would say.
Wow, absolutely incredible.
Thanks, Lois.
Wow, thank you so much, Renee. That was so beautiful. Well, take time to go back and have a listen to some of the practical tips in this podcast. And remember that if you want to join us on the journey, if you need some support right now, email us at tailormade@stairway.org.au or check us out on the website at tailormade.org.au. Catch you soon. Bye.